One state, one stage, two teams, and one title. The Iron Bowl. Alabama, Auburn. Fox 20's Iron Bowl special. Max and Trevor get you game ready with 30 minutes of interviews, analysis, and big game information you'll only get from Fox 20. Fox 20's Iron Bowl special starts now.
It's the biggest game of the year every year. They talk about it in barbershops, at nail salons, and everywhere else you can imagine. There are many great rivalries in college football, but there's only one Iron Bowl. Hello and welcome into our 2025 Iron Bowl special. I'm Max Cohan and he's Trevor Denton. And in the next half hour, we'll take you through everything you need to know before what's setting up to be another wild night on the Plains.
Safe to say that neither team has had the season they hoped for, but for very, very different reasons, as has been the case for the last several years. Auburn just hoping to play spoiler, potentially get to a bowl game. The Tide enter the game 9-2. The Tigers at 5-6. Alabama needs to win to have any shot of making the college football playoff. So let's guide you through what's gotten both teams to this point.
Now, no matter what happens this week, Alabama will finish the season with at least 2 losses for the 5th year in a row, something that the program hasn't seen since the days of Mike Shula. But even with 2 tough losses on the ledger, trips to Atlanta and beyond are still real possibilities. The first season of the Kalen DeBoer era failed to meet expectations as the Tide lost 4 games and finished the season with fewer than 10 wins for the first time since Nick Saban's first season back in 2007. Kicking things off in Tallahassee against a Florida State team that went 2-10 last year, many expected a Tide blowout, but the Seminoles made a statement, dominating 31-17.
We all, pissed off about what would happen on Saturday. Sure. We are. Just flat out, that's what it is.
After the Tide's first season opening loss since 2001, a brief panic ensued, but the team responded in style, first dominating ULM 73-zip, and then taking care of business against Wisconsin.
Yeah, don't let off the gas. That's where we're at right now. They know we're still so far from being where we need to be, but we've taken a couple steps here the last 2 weeks.
And while that may not have been enough to convince fans and experts that they were back on track, the next 4 games would. In a 4-week span, Alabama beat a top 5 Georgia team on the road, downed ranked Vanderbilt in Tuscaloosa, escaped with a ranked win over Mizzou, and then finished it off with a 17-point win over Tennessee in the 3rd Saturday in October. 4 straight conference wins over ranked teams.
The world hasn't seen Bama's best yet.
But then things got weird. After dominating for weeks, the Tide struggled against South Carolina, needing 2 fourth-quarter scores to get past the Gamecocks, and then winning a low-scoring affair against LSU before Oklahoma came to town. A loss to the Sooners kept the Tide out of the playoffs last year, and we'll have to wait and see if another one this year will as well, as costly errors were the difference in a 2-point loss in Tuscaloosa.
Most of the snaps, we played pretty good football, but it's the ones that were big that really hurt us.
And last but not least, Alabama cooked Eastern Illinois last week 56-0, despite Ty Simpson getting picked off twice.
Looking ahead, too, to the excitement of what lies ahead with the Iron Bowl and the opportunities that are in front of us. And so, a lot of the things that we would just have goals for are all there. And, the things we set out to do at the beginning of the season or even way back in January, right in front of us. So go attack it, and I know we're going to do that, but love the response that we had this week.
Entering this year, Auburn thought they had the pieces in place to start competing with the best of the SEC. Instead, there's been a lot of close, but no big breakthrough. Let's dive deeper into a turbulent 2025 season.
After 2 lackluster seasons, Hugh Freeze didn't shy away from lofty goals to start the year.
I truly believe that in the playoff run, we're going to be in this discussion.
With new quarterback Jackson Arnold in the fold, Auburn started with a bang, beating Baylor on the road 38-24. The Tigers started 3-0, but vibes soured once SEC play kicked off. First, there was a 7-point loss to Oklahoma, then a 16-10 defeat at the hands of Texas A&M. The Deep South's oldest rivalry seemed like a potential signature win for Freeze. Jordan Hare was rocking for Cam Newton's jersey retirement, and the Tigers controlled the first half. But then the Bulldogs scored 20 points unanswered, holding Auburn to just 50 yards in the final 2 quarters.
We find ways to not win football games.
Auburn dropped to 0-4 in SEC play with a double overtime loss to Missouri. The Tigers traveled to Arkansas with Freeze's job security hanging in the balance. When Arnold threw a pick-6 in the red zone, Freeze swapped him out for backup Ashton Daniels, and the Tigers finally won their first SEC contest of the season. Daniels then started against Kentucky, but the offense had less rhythm than a 4-line haiku. The Tigers got sacked 7 times, mustering 3 points against one of the worst defenses in the SEC. As Freeze walked off the field, fans booed and chanted "Fire Hugh."
I wish I could ask for patience, but that's not really something that's that people want to give in this day and time, and I understand that.
And it turned out that patience had run out. Athletic director John Cohen fired Freeze after he posted a 6-16 record in SEC play.
I'm not going to say that we're close. Close doesn't matter. Getting it done matters.
With DJ Durkin as interim head coach, the Tigers traveled to the Music City and had their most rocking offensive performance to date. Cam Coleman went nuts, and Daniels threw for over 350 yards, but the Tigers still fell to the Commodores in an overtime thriller.
We're building a program to win championships, and that's the first step. First, I guess you got to get it there, but I'll tell you what, there's some character in that room.
Auburn bounced back with a 62-17 win over Mercer. Freshman quarterback Deuce Knight made his starting debut and exploded onto the scene with 6 total touchdowns. It's been a challenging roller coaster of a ride for Auburn, but there's still plenty on the line in the Iron Bowl. They can secure bowl eligibility and knock Alabama straight out of the playoff.
It's one of the greatest rivalries in college football, and it certainly means a lot to a lot of people around here, including myself and our team.
There's a reality that Alabama fans have to face. Kalen DeBoer's not Nick Saban. He never will be, but that's not a problem necessarily. While it is true that DeBoer does not have any NCAA national titles, he does have a trio of NAIA rings from his time at Sioux Falls, and really he's been a proven winner everywhere he's been, finishing with at least 9 wins every single season he's been a head coach, aside from the 2020 season.
Yeah, and while there are still fans that aren't sold on the coach, with some even hoping he leaves to take the Penn State job, there's no denying what he's done this year.
We were undefeated at home, but we also struggled on the road. And we start this year on the road and go to Florida State, and we know that they're going to have something to prove as well.
Even back in July, Coach DeBoer knew the Florida State game was going to be important.
That's going to be a great environment to get tested early on.
But most people assumed Alabama would pass that test, and when they didn't, the tide turned on DeBoer, even losing the support of a super fan named Roll Tide Willie.
I don't give a piss about nothing. I don't even care about the tide no damn more.
Come on, Willie! Willie!
Of course, things would change over the course of the next 2 months as Alabama rattled off 8 straight wins, firmly putting themselves in the playoff picture.
And we got to make sure we don't forget, what that chip on the shoulder was that kind of got this momentum going, and we've got to understand what it took mentally, physically, emotionally today to be able to sustain from start to finish, not just 30 minutes, it's 60 minutes. And so, that's been a word that we talked about going back to January. I've talked to you guys about it, sustaining it. Can we sustain the energy? Can we sustain the passion? And, not just, for the season, not for the game, but each play.
And while a loss to Oklahoma ended what was then the nation's longest home win streak, the Tide's goals from SEC Media Days are still within reach.
I feel like we got a physical football team, both sides of the ball, and that's what it's going to come down to here as we go down this home stretch.
Now, Auburn is currently in the midst of a national coaching search, something they certainly hoped they wouldn't be doing when the season started. But ultimately, the school felt like it was time for a change in leadership earlier this month. Let's talk about how they got there.
In press conference after press conference, Hugh Freeze said the Tigers were close to getting over the hump.
I still believe we're really close, and I know that that team plays hard for this university, and it's sickening that we haven't delivered.
But after a 10-3 loss to Kentucky, athletic director John Cohen decided this wasn't a game of horseshoes.
It's really easy to get into a blame thing and start pointing your finger at a quarterback or at the offensive line. What we know is it's just not working.
Now defensive coordinator DJ Durkin has the role of interim head coach. He was previously the head coach at Maryland a few years ago, and he's seen as a candidate for the permanent role.
This is Auburn. We didn't come here to get close or make the game close or fight till the end. We came here to win championships. That's what we're going to do.
While the Tigers didn't win that Vandy game, they showed a different spark, and now they're hoping that carries over into the biggest game of the season.
I thought it was big that we spent time on that today and just educate our guys a little bit about the rivalry, and it is. I mean, it's what you. I don't care where you live or where you're from. You know about the Iron Bowl, and certainly, to this area, there's nothing bigger.
Ask any coach, they'll tell you the most important player on the field is the quarterback. And with Jalen Milroe departing for the NFL, the Crimson Tide coaching staff had a big decision to make. And now with Ty Simpson in the Heisman conversation, it's safe to say they made the right call. For the last 3 years, Tide fans watched him warm up and occasionally attempt a few passes, but during his first few seasons on campus, Ty Simpson was nothing more than a backup. First sitting behind Bryce Young and Jalen Milroe, and later behind Milroe and Tyler Buckner. Entering spring camp this year, Simpson had just 3 collegiate touchdowns, all rushing. But Coach DeBoer and offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb were confident Ty was the guy.
If we're playing a football game tomorrow, Ty Simpson would start, and he earned that.
Simpson played decently well in the loss to FSU, but really turned things on after that. In the win over ULM, the redshirt junior won a perfect 17 for 17 with 4 total touchdowns. The week after against Wisconsin, he completed 83% of his attempts, racking up 382 yards with 4 touchdown passes. Simpson would have another solid outing against Georgia, racking up 3 total scores in a massive road win, and then putting together a 340-yard performance against Vanderbilt back in Tuscaloosa. Simpson would go on to throw for 3 scores against Mizzou, 2 against Tennessee, and 2 more against South Carolina before being held to just 1 against both LSU and Oklahoma. The star had only thrown 2 interceptions all season, and then he threw 2 more against Eastern Illinois.
While Ty Simpson has been a consistent force for the Crimson Tide, Auburn's had to shuffle things around a lot under center. And now heading into the last game of the season, we know Ashton Daniels will be the starter, but there's a chance we see 3 different guys take snaps.
It's time for the loveliest game show on the plains. Who wants to be Auburn's quarterback? Could it be Ashton Daniels? He's made 2 starts, leading Auburn to their best offensive performance of the season against Vanderbilt. Could it be the prodigal freshman Deuce Knight, who ran for 162 yards and 4 touchdowns in his first start against Mercer? Or could Jackson Arnold get some playing time? The highly compensated Oklahoma transfer has been benched multiple times, but hey, he beat Alabama last year, and those wheels are still wheeling. Maybe there's a chance all 3 suit up at various points. But on Saturday, we'll find out for sure who wants to be Auburn's quarterback.
As we head into the 90th Iron Bowl, there's a ton of history to unpack. Most fans know that the series leans Alabama's way with 51 wins for them and Auburn's 37.
But this is just the 18th time the teams have met on the Plains, where the Tigers have won 10 of those games. When the teams first met in Birmingham back in February of 1893, the world was a different place and football was a different game. In fact, the forward pass wouldn't be legalized for another 13 years, and it would be even longer before the Tide and Tigers finally met on the Plains. Historically, most of the games have been played in Birmingham, where the teams have met 53 times, but in 1989 they finally made it to Jordan-Hare Stadium, and on that December day, Auburn took down second-ranked Alabama 30-20, and wild things have been happening there ever since. Who could forget the 1995 game? Both ranked in the top 25, the teams met in another wild one that went the Tigers' way, as Freddie Kitchens' touchdown pass to Curtis Brown would be ruled incomplete as Auburn held on for a 31-27 victory. Just a couple years later, the teams played another crazy one decided by 2 late field goal attempts. The first a make by Jarrett Holmes, and the second a miss by A.J. Diaz that sent Auburn to Atlanta with the 18-17 win. The Tide would eventually win one on the Plains in 1999 and then again in their next trip in 2001, but then Nick Saban came to town. Now everyone knows what happened in 2013, but things also got wild in 2019 when a freshman Bo Nix led Auburn past Alabama in a high-scoring affair. That would stand as the Tigers' most recent win in the series. In 2021, it took 4 overtimes, but the Tide found a way with a Bryce Young pass to John Mechie, and then most recently, the Gravedigger. Jalen Milroe to Isaiah Bond on 4th and 31, leaving the Plains stunned. Now, no one knows what will happen this time, but what we do know is it will be anything but normal. Of course, we all know that the Iron Bowl is a one-of-a-kind rivalry, but you don't need to take my word for it. Here's what former Auburn head coach Gene Chizik had to say about the game.
Anything can happen, and you know they have the old cliche of anything can happen in rivalries, and that is true. But in this particular one, it's definitely true. There's a level of passion and energy on both sides, no matter what the records are, no matter what your situation is, no matter what you have on the line or at stake. Some be a little, some be a lot. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of pride and there's a lot of passion, and it means a lot to so many people in the state that game could go either way, and it doesn't matter what situation either team's in.
Spooky things seem to happen at Jordan-Hare Stadium all the time.
But does that mean it's haunted? We talked to an expert. Hear from him right after this short break.
We'll be right back with more of Fox 20's Iron Bowl Special with Max and Trevor.
No one word can describe the sweet, tangy, zesty fusion of Zaxby's Asian Zensation menu. So I made one up. Zensation.
That is not a word. That's a word.
You heard the lady. The Asian Zensation menu. Who's got the sauce?
Zaxby's. Now back to Fox 20's Iron Bowl Special with Max and Trevor.
Welcome back. Aside from the last two games where he's been picked off 3 times, interceptions haven't really been an issue for Ty Simpson. He's got just 4 on the year.
But sacks and fumbles are another story, making ball security an obvious key to the game. Now, starting with the Missouri game, the quarterback had been strip-sacked in 5 straight outings, ending that streak against Eastern Illinois, but he did throw 2 interceptions. Now, Alabama's only lost 2 games this season, and Simpson was strip-sacked in both. He'll need to get rid of the ball quickly against the Tigers defense that has 28 sacks and 6 forced fumbles this season. One of the most glaring issues for the Tide all year has been the ground attack, or the lack thereof. As a team, Alabama's rushed for more than 1,300 yards, but the leading rusher is Jam Miller with just 410 and 3 touchdowns. Daniel Hill leads the team with 5 rushing scores on just 46 carries, and someone's going to need to get something going if the Tide want to keep rolling into December. And then lastly, shut down the deep pass. The Tigers have several talented wideouts, highlighted by Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. Alabama will need to limit their chances in a game where the Tigers will likely be looking for the end zone a lot.
We know Auburn has the home crowd on their side, but what else will they need in order to pull off their first win in this rivalry since 2019? These are my keys for Auburn. Number 1, you got to get after Ty. We saw him pick apart teams like Georgia and Vanderbilt when he had time to throw, but Oklahoma got in there, made things ugly, and forced turnovers based on their pass rush. Auburn has the capability up front to win some matchups as well. They need to get after him because Alabama has the advantage when it comes to their offensive playmakers versus the Tigers' secondary. That brings me to my next key. Keep eyes on Jeremy Bernard at all times. If he lines up in the backfield, chances are they're running some sort of trick play with number 5. He can catch, he can run it, he can even throw passes, so you have to plan for him at all points of the game. Finally, on offense, just keep playing loose. The last 2 games, it looks like Auburn's actually having fun on that side of the ball. They've been getting out the ball quicker and getting the ball to their playmakers. If offensive coordinator Derek Nix can keep the game plan simple and dial up those touches for Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman, Auburn might have a chance to move the football. But hey, don't get too loose because the Tide defense can get turnovers in a hurry. If you had to pick 3 players to have the biggest potential impact on this game, it seems fairly obvious for the Crimson Tide who pick number 1 would be.
Yeah, everything starts with Ty Simpson. While the quarterback is no longer the Heisman frontrunner, he's already put together one of the most impressive seasons in Crimson Tide history and can cement his case with a strong finish. If Simpson can play a clean game, the Tide should win. And with that goes Jeremy Bernard. Many expected Ryan Williams to be the favorite target, but it's Bernard. Jerm leads the team in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. A threat as a receiver, a runner, and even a passer. Look for Bernard to get the main target share at Jordan-Hare. Now, everyone knows the importance of special teams, especially in games like this. That's why Connor Talty is going to need to step up. The kicker has not had a great season, finding success on just 61% of his attempts, including 2 misses from inside the 30. Talty has made just 2 field goals in the last month and will certainly be called upon on the Plains.
From Bo Nix to Nick Marshall to Cam Newton, Auburn often needs a legendary quarterback performance to win the Iron Bowl. This time they'll be counting on Ashton Daniels. He's only started 2 games for Auburn, but he's actually played a lot of football. 2-year starter at Stanford, and he actually led the Cardinal to upset wins over Colorado and Louisville. So he knows what it's like to play in this spoiler role. Helping his case, he gets to throw the ball to Cam Coleman. Auburn's offense is always at their best when they get the sophomore involved. He had 143 yards against Vanderbilt, making spectacular grabs, even in tight coverage. He'll be one of the most talented players on the field Saturday. They just got to feed him the rock. On defense, Xavier Atkins always finds his way to the rock. He should be an all-SEC selection for a season that includes 81 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and a 73-yard interception. The LSU transfer was a great find by DJ Durkin and his staff. He can play coverage or rush the passer like a heat-seeking missile. He's been an excellent complement to other defensive standouts like Keldrick Falk or Keyron Crawford. Strange things happen at Jordan-Hare Stadium. You hear that all the time. Some people even say supernatural forces are at play. Exactly. I decided to dive in and find out more on if the stadium is really haunted.
Jordan-Hare Stadium. Those 3 words elicit awe and even the most unflappable of people.
That place is haunted.
That place is haunted.
Could that be true? Are supernatural forces at play when the Tide go to Jordan-Hare?
I don't believe in the haunted kind of craziness that, everybody tongue-in-cheek jokes about. I just believe it's a very tough environment to play in. And let me tell you something, when the game gets rocking and rolling and they have a little bit of success and they get some momentum going, it's a hard place to come back out of.
So one coach says haunted, another one says no way. But what if I consulted a different type of expert, a paranormal head coach, if you will? Kevin Thompson has been giving ghost tours around Huntsville for almost 20 years.
The story takes a whole other turn.
Thompson said the first step to enjoying his tours is accepting the impossible. But I was already there. I've been to Jordan-Hare Stadium.
One down, amigo!
So in Kevin's eyes, what makes a building haunted?
What has happened inside of it? What energies are left behind? Then what can we validate? We don't just want to tell a fanciful story. We want to be able to validate it.
We've seen it all.
Significant events. Extreme outputs of energy.
Auburn's gonna win the football game!
Verifiable evidence of history.
So Nick could have been experiencing the release of that energy, and it's seen as paranormal when perhaps it's very normal.
AL.com's Matt Stahl conducted a much deeper investigation, going outside the stadium with a paranormal expert. The results were inconclusive.
I don't think you were ever going to prove, from what we know, that it's definitively haunted over there, but you can't prove that it's not.
There's an unmistakable energy during the Iron Bowl. Thompson would say it's spirits. But even if you don't believe in ghosts, it's a game worth soaking in, both because of the present and what's happened there in the past.
As those audience members are sitting in those seats, how much history has actually happened there that they're taking for granted and they're missing? And whatever the ticket sales are, there's a lot more people in that stadium than they realize.
We'll be right back with more of Fox 20's Iron Bowl Special with Max and Trevor.
At Zaxby's, you can lemon pepper any way you want. Get lemon pepper wings, lemon pepper sandwiches, or lemon pepper fingers. Now that's lemon pepper perfection. Zaxby's Lemon Pepper Dry Rub. Who's got the sauce?
Zaxby's. Now back to Fox 20's Iron Bowl Special with Max and Trevor.
Was that me?
Yeah.
Now back to Fox 20's Iron Bowl Special with Max and Trevor.
Welcome back in, everybody. Historically, this game has not only been important because of the rivalry, but also because often the winner of this game heads straight to Atlanta for the SEC championship.
And that would be the case this year for Alabama with a win. But don't forget, aside from playing spoiler, an Auburn win would make the Tigers bowl eligible. So here's a look at the SEC championship clinching scenarios. Now, no one has it easier than the Tide. For Alabama, it's simply a win and in situation, but teams like Ole Miss and Georgia need a little bit of help. With Georgia's SEC schedule in the books, the Bulldogs need either a Tide loss or an Aggies loss. Ole Miss can get in with a win and losses from both Alabama and Texas A&M, and the Aggies can get in with a win or losses from Alabama and Ole Miss. So, of course, that's looking a little bit down the road because, of course, Alabama still has to win this game if they want to make it to Atlanta. And now that we're heading into the 90th Iron Bowl, I know you and I have watched a lot of them growing up. What moments stand out to you as your key Iron Bowl moments?
Well, it's obviously the obvious one. It's the kick six. I'll never forget watching that one in my basement and just not believing what I'm seeing. Not believing that Nick Saban decided to kick a field goal and then all of a sudden you see Chris Davis at midfield. You don't believe it's going to happen. You almost feel like one of his teammates was going to like knock him over or something. But I think that's one of the greatest moments not only in college football but in sports history. I also think about the 2017 game. Kerryon Johnson, the incredible performance he had. Bo Nix in 2019. So many high-stakes matchups in this rivalry. Those are three that really come to mind for me.
Yeah, people of our age, the kick six is the iconic Iron Bowl moment. And as we talked about off camera, there are so many moments that set up those big moments. You don't think about the missed field goals that had them remove the kicker from the game and put in a backup who ended up attempting the field goal that was missed and then returned for the touchdown. Yeah. While that's the iconic moment, I'm a little bit more biased towards the Iron Bowls that I've covered. In the time I've been here, there have been 2 Iron Bowls played at Jordan-Hare Stadium, both iconic games now. The 4 overtime game, the first overtime ever to be played in the Iron Bowl, went to 4, and of course took an iconic play, John Mechie in the corner of the end zone as they went on to win that one, and then eventually play in the national championship game that year. And then 2 years ago, and I don't even know how to describe it, 4th and 31 seems impossible. Even in Madden, you wouldn't go for it on 4th and 31.
No, I try all the time, but it doesn't work.
But they did, and right place, right time for me, just standing in the corner of the end zone as Isaiah Bond came down with that one. The drain of noise out of the stadium when he came down with that ball, I don't think I'll ever be able to forget that. It's one of those things that just sits with you.
Was it loud or was it like almost like a silence befell?
Well, imagine the defensive noise that they're trying to make. The Auburn crowd knowing they get one stop, they pull off the upset, they end Alabama's chances of having any chance of making the playoff, all of that. And then the next thing you know, touchdown, corner of the end zone, and all their hopes and dreams come crashing down.
And it just shows anything can happen in this game. So hopefully we get to see some more legendary stuff. The stakes are high for this one yet again, just like they were for all those games you mentioned. Auburn trying to play spoiler again using that Jordan-Hare magic. I think it's very haunted, by the way.
And obviously we'll be on the sidelines hoping to capture just a couple more iconic moments in this unbelievable rivalry.
It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait for this one.
Me too. We'll have you covered.